In the chess game of geopolitics, few leaders command attention like Donald Trump. Whether he's in office or out, his words have the power to shake markets, shift alliances, and spark controversies that leave the world scrambling for answers. Just as the trade war with Canada and Mexico seemed to cool down, Trump set his sights on a new set of firestorms, this time with Gaza.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip.
His statement has blindsided experts, raised eyebrows across the globe, and left us all wondering.
Political earthquake. Donald Trump stunning the world.
The United States, he said, should take over the war-torn Gaza Strip.
He wants to rebuild it, and he wants to turn it into Mar-a-Lago.
But the question remains how serious Trump is. What's deeper at play here? And what does this mean for Gaza, Israel, and the world? Let's break down this bombshell.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. The Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be so bad. This could be so magnificent.
Before we get into the bombshell statements Trump made today, let's take a step back and look at something he said yesterday. His remarks were insightful, unexpected, and even a little humorous, but they also set the stage for what was coming next.
Yes, you mentioned in the past you're concerned about Israel being too small geographically. Would you support annexation of parts of the West Bank by Israel?
Well, I'm not going to talk about that. It certainly is a small, it's a small country in terms of land. See this pen, this wonderful pen? My desk is the Middle East. And this pen, the top of the pen, that's Israel. That's not good, right? You know, that's a pretty big difference. I use that as an analogy. It's pretty accurate, actually.
Now, before Trump even took the stage, we heard from Steve Witkoff, the special envoy to the Middle East, a key player in brokering the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. His comments offered critical clarification on some of Trump's earlier remarks.
In any city in the United States of America, if you had damage that was 1/100th of what I saw in Gaza, and the president talks about cleaning it out, he talks about making it habitable, and this is a long-range plan. We estimate 3 to 5 years just to dispose of all the things before you can look down beneath the surface of the soil.
With that context in mind, the joint press conference kicked into high gear. This was where things really got interesting and unexpected. Not only did Trump double down on his previous statements, but he also introduced a bold new idea, relocating Gaza's entire population to another country. He suggested that Palestinians could be moved to Egypt or Jordan, a proposal no U.S. president has ever made before. At the same time, he laid out a massive reconstruction plan for Gaza. He described an effort to remove unexploded bombs, rebuild infrastructure, and improve overall living conditions. And perhaps most notably, he made one thing crystal clear: the U.S. will not pay for it. Instead, he argued that countries like Iran, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Egypt, all of whom, in his words, want peace, should share the financial burden. During the press conference, Netanyahu was asked a very interesting question, one that many of us have wondered about. When the Israel-Hamas ceasefire was signed, not a peace deal, just a ceasefire, both President Biden and President-elect Trump took credit. Biden was in office at the time, but Trump had already won the election. Some argued that the ceasefire happened because of Trump's influence, while others credited Biden for pushing it through. Netanyahu was asked directly, who deserves the credit? His response was telling.
President Trump, I work with Prime Minister Netanyahu. We have heard Joe Biden and Donald Trump take credit for the hostage and ceasefire deal. Who do you think deserves more credit?
I think President Trump added great force and powerful leadership to this effort. I appreciate it. He sent a very good emissary. He's helped it along. And, I'll just tell you, I'm happy that they're here. And I'm sure the president is happy that they're here. And I would think that's about enough.
This situation becomes even more ironic when you consider that next week, the King of Jordan is scheduled to visit the White House. It'll be interesting to see how he responds to Trump's proposal, especially given Jordan's history with the PLO. But on the looks of it, Jordan will ever agree to accepting Palestinian refugees, especially not members of Hamas. Many of you may know that Jordan is still ruled by a monarchy. The last time Palestinians, specifically the PLO, were in Jordan, some 50 years back, they attempted to overthrow the king. Given that history, the chances of Jordan allowing Hamas into its borders are close to zero. However, Trump's strategy is similar to the one he used with Canada and Mexico. There are many in Gaza, Palestine, and even in the US and the West who do not want Israel to exist. They support the idea of Palestine from the river to the sea, as the well-known slogan states. But now that Trump is proposing to remove everyone from Gaza, those same people may suddenly reconsider their stance. This could make the two-state solution seem far more appealing compared to Trump's proposal, and that may be his true intention, a negotiation tactic. According to Trump, Palestinians cannot return to Gaza, because doing so would only lead to another war.
I also strongly believe that the Gaza Strip, which has been a symbol of death and destruction for so many decades and so bad for the people anywhere near it, and especially those who live there.
Trump's proposal is unprecedented. The U.S. has never had a policy like this, nor has any administration ever suggested such a sweeping relocation plan. But the real question is, will this plan go anywhere? And this brings us to the Arab nations, especially Saudi Arabia. Trump claimed that Saudi Arabia is not demanding a Palestinian state as a condition for normalizing ties with Israel.
No.
So the Saudis demanding a Palestinian state?
No, they're not. Nope.
Are they demanding a path towards a Palestinian state or any other recognition?
Everybody's demanding one thing. You know what it is? Peace. We want peace. We want people to stop being killed.
Shortly after Trump's press conference, Saudi Arabia issued an official statement contradicting his claim. According to the statement, Saudi Arabia is not willing to normalize relations with Israel unless there is a concrete resolution for a Palestinian state. Previously, Saudi Arabia indicated that it does not require an officially recognized Palestinian state as a prerequisite for normalizing relations with Israel. However, they do insist on a clear path toward Palestinian statehood, some form of strategy or framework ensuring that a Palestinian state can exist in the future. This suggests that Saudi Arabia is open to normalization under the right conditions, a significant development considering its influence as a leader in the Arab world. When asked whether his plan to relocate Palestinians from Gaza means he opposes a two-state solution, Trump made it clear that his proposal for Gaza is separate from the broader question of Palestinian statehood.
All the Palestinians should be relocated to other countries. Does that mean that you do not support a two-state solution?
It doesn't mean anything about a two-state or one state or any other state. It means that we want to give people a chance at life. They have never had a chance at life because the Gaza Strip has been a hellhole for people living there. It's been horrible.
His reasoning? Gaza is simply not safe to live in, and relocation is about improving lives, not about determining the future of a Palestinian state. Trump's remarks suggest that his focus is on ending the cycle of violence in Gaza. But will the international community accept this approach?
The Australian government support, on a bipartisan basis, a two-state solution.
Many of us were alarmed to hear President Trump speak about forcibly displacing 1.8 million people from Gaza. The Prime Minister has spoken to the President on several occasions now. Does he personally believe that Trump recognises the dangers of statements like this to the fragile ceasefire in Gaza, and indeed to the security of both Palestinians and Israelis?
They must be allowed home. They must be allowed to rebuild, and we should be with them in that rebuild on the way to a two-state solution.
So there you have it. One of the most significant, controversial, and unexpected policy discussions we've seen in a long time. Trump's statements have reshaped the conversation on Middle East policy in ways that few saw coming. What do you think Trump's plan is realistic? Will the U.S. actually take control of Gaza's reconstruction? And most importantly, what does this mean for the future of the region? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.